Ladies and gentlemen, patriots of capital discipline and defenders of economic sovereignty, my name is Adam Livingston and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. Today I present not just a policy proposal, but a national call to financial arms. Right now, in the basement of the US Treasury, there's a gold-plated ledger still pretending it's 1971. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is re-architecting capital flows on open, decentralized rails. And who's leading? Not us. While other countries are building CBDC panopticons or waiting on ETF inflows, we, the United States, have the power, the precedent, and the receipts to lead the coin era with strategic conviction. We're already halfway there. The strategic Bitcoin reserve exists. The foundation has been laid with forfeited BTC. But laying a foundation is not the same as building the citadel. So I ask, why stop at what criminals lose? Why not build with what the American economy earns? Because here's the thing most people don't realize. America doesn't just print money, we collect it. And every day, billions of dollars pour in our ports through tariff receipts, a volatile, surplus-heavy river of dollars begging for productive deployment. And what do we currently do with this windfall? We throw it in a general fund, let it swirl around until it disappears into 18 continuing resolutions and some IRS cloud server upgrade from 2008. But what if, and stay with me here, if we did something legendary? What if we took that surplus, skimmed just a portion above last year's baseline, and used it to buy Bitcoin, the most secure, provably scarce, censorship-resistant monetary asset in history? Not with debt, not with taxes, with America's own trade muscle. What I'm proposing is simple: a budget-neutral, programmatic sweep of excess tariff revenue into our strategic Bitcoin reserve. The plan is transparent, disciplined, auditable, and entirely within the scope of fiscal responsibility. It doesn't inflate, it doesn't obfuscate, it fortifies. Because when the next monetary storm hits, when the fiat debt spiral lurches again, it won't be the size of your deficit that determines your fate. It will be the durability of your reserves. By seeding this reserve with tariff revenues, the spoils of American productivity and trade enforcement, we send a message to the world. The United States doesn't just believe in freedom, we custody it on chain. So let me be clear, this isn't some crypto gimmick. This is financial statecraft with asymmetric upside. It's a geopolitical flex with fiscal discipline baked in. It's the best use of government money in history. Let's talk about the money, not imaginary budget projections, not new taxes, not borrowed cash from China to build bike paths in Delaware. I'm talking about real US dollars earned today, collected daily, and pouring in from the front lines of global trade. Customs duties, or tariffs, are the most underrated weapon in America's fiscal arsenal. They're not taxes on citizens, they're taxes on imports, a toll paid at the gates of our sovereign economy. And in 2025, they've exploded. As of July, we've collected $135.7 billion in customs duties, double last year's pace. Let me repeat that. We're sitting on a $70 billion surplus from tariffs, and we haven't even finished the fiscal year. Now here's where it gets interesting. That surplus is unallocated. It's not pre-spent. It's not tied to Medicare or entitlements or debt service. It's just floating, waiting, looking for a productive use case. And right now, what do we do with it? We toss it into the black hole of the general fund, where it disappears faster than the Fed's credibility. Instead, I propose we do something radical. We lock it into Bitcoin. Why? Because tariffs are naturally volatile. They surge in strong trade cycles and drop during downturns. That's fine. Bitcoin is volatile too, but in the opposite direction. Volatile upward. That makes it the perfect match. High torque fiscal flows meet high convexity monetary asset. So rather than chasing pork barrel projects or rolling it into short-term debt issuance, we store it in the hardest money mankind has ever created. This is fiscal judo PAYGO using volatility against itself. It's also politically brilliant because no citizen pays this directly. No new law taxes small businesses, no new debt burdens our children, and no bureaucrat can misallocate it. This is a trade dividend turned monetary sovereignty, and we do it without printing a single new dollar. Let the surplus work for us. Let Bitcoin do what it does. Let America lead. This is the 21st century reserve playbook, and we're just getting started. Now let's address the elephant in the committee room, the one holding a calculator and muttering about PAYGO. We are not here to blow out the deficit. We are not here to reinvent the treasury with vibes and halving charts. We are here to respect the rules, obey the law, and still outsmart every other nation on Earth. This proposal is built on 4 immovable policy constraints, and we don't break a single one. Number 1 is statutory compliance. We don't touch a penny without a legal hook. Either this flows from new appropriation clauses or we amend the Exchange Stabilization Fund statute to explicitly authorize Bitcoin purchases. No legal gymnastics. No executive memos scribbled on napkins. Clean, constitutional, auditable. Number 2 is budget neutrality. This is not a spending program. This is a monetary reserve allocation, tied 1-to-1 to tariff revenue above a neutral baseline, last year's customs receipts. If the receipts fall short, the Bitcoin purchases pause. No new deficit, no funny money, just a rules-based surplus sweep into a hard reserve. Number 3, no mission creep. This is not a slush fund. This is not a stealth ETF. This is a reserve, not a piggy bank. No spending on education programs, green grants, or NFT art museums. No yield farming, no staking, no leverage, no lending, cold storage, period. Number 4, radical transparency. This isn't trust us, we're the government. This is proof of reserve, public keys posted quarterly, audited, cryptographically attested, and reviewed by the GAO. Every SAT accounted for. You can verify it from your phone in Peoria faster than you can find the Pentagon's parking receipts. This proposal doesn't violate Washington's norms, it outsmarts them. Because for once, we're not proposing a $1 trillion package with 800 pages of hidden giveaways. We're proposing a simple, rules-based reserve engine with zero new burden on the taxpayer and infinite upside for the country. We're not asking to break the system, we're asking to upgrade it. Now let's walk through how the money moves, precisely, predictably, and without drama. No vibes-based meme coin treasury allocation here, no print now, figure it out later, just clean, fiscal engineering. Here's the rule. Each month, we compare customs receipts to the prior year's average. If they're higher, we sweep the surplus up to a fixed cap into Bitcoin. It's that simple. Let me break it down. Step 1, set the baseline. We take last fiscal year's customs revenue, let's say $77 billion in fiscal year 2024. That's our floor. Divide by 12 and you get a monthly baseline of $6.42 billion. That's the threshold. If we collect more than that in any given month, the excess is eligible for BTC purchases. Step 2, apply the cap. We don't want to overwhelm the market or run wild, so we set a hard ceiling, say $15 billion per month or whatever Congress decides. This gives us control and predictability. Even in higher surplus months, we limit the flow. Think of it like the taper of sound money. Step 3, plug in the circuit breakers. If the unified monthly deficit exceeds a certain limit, pause the purchases. If customs receipts dip below the baseline, skip the sweep entirely. This ensures we're only accumulating when the fiscal position supports it. No deficit games, no monetization tricks, pure surplus optimization. Step 4 is auto resume. When the conditions normalize, the engine kicks back in. No new votes needed. The policy runs like a Swiss clock until amended. What I've created here is a monetary conversion valve. Surplus dollars in, Bitcoin out, tied directly to trade flows, market cycles, and fiscal health. It's automatic, it's fair, and it's scalable because here's the brilliance: the better our trade position, the more Bitcoin we accumulate. You want patriotism with your fiscal policy? Try stacking Satoshis with every container that lands at the port of Los Angeles. Try turning a tariff surplus into the hardest reserve asset known to man. Try doing it without borrowing a single damn cent. That's the rule, that's the system, and it's more robust than the dollar itself. Now let's open the hood and show how this machine runs dollar by dollar, sat by sat. This is where we separate fantasy policy from a functioning fiscal instrument. Number one is collection. Customs duties are already collected daily by the CBP and routed to the Treasury's general account, the big vault in the sky, where every tax dollar, tariff, and federal fine gets dumped. That doesn't change. We don't interfere with how it's collected or who touches it. We wait. Step 2 is the surplus detection. At month's end, Treasury tallies up the customs receipts. If the total exceeds the monthly baseline, again, that's $6.42 billion per month, we calculate the difference. That's the eligible sweep. Example, August brings in $10 billion. We sweep $3.58 billion into the reserve. Simple. Step 3, we sweep to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve account. The designated surplus is credited into a Strategic Bitcoin Reserve account, either a newly appropriated Treasury-managed account or via the Exchange Stabilization Fund if the statute is amended. This is a dedicated line. It doesn't touch the general fund. It can't be rated. It's walled off. Step 4 is Bitcoin acquisition. The SBR then executes BTC purchases via pre-approved brokers and exchanges. This is classified as a purchase of a financial asset under federal accounting rules, not a program expense, not a subsidy, not a handout. It's an asset acquisition, like when the Fed buys gold or a foreign currency, except this time we're buying freedom. The last step is scoring, because every Bitcoin purchase is matched one-to-one with a dedicated revenue source, the tariff surplus. The program scores as budget neutral. The CBO won't freak out, PAYGO stays intact, you don't violate a single fiscal principle. In short, no new direct taxes, no new debt, no new deficit. Just smart redirection of an uncommitted, already collected surplus into a long-duration, hard reserve that compounds America's strategic advantage over time. And remember this, we're not inventing a shadow ledger. We're simply giving our surplus dollars a second life as Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Money that was once gone is now preserved. That's not spending, that's sovereign assets rotation. Now you're probably wondering, how do we actually buy the Bitcoin? Where do we store it? Who holds the keys? What if the intern loses the seed phrase? Fair questions, and I'm going to answer every single one with military-grade clarity. First, execution. The government isn't going to YOLO into the market with a market order like some TikTok influencer with stimulus money. This is done with precision using professional execution protocols. Time-weighted average price strategies spread across hours and days to avoid market impact. RFQ block trades for larger clips. We query multiple institutional liquidity providers, take the best price, and verify fill quality. CME basis capture when available. If the futures basis is positive, we execute through cash and carry, reducing the cost. Daily notional is capped at 1 to 2% of legitimate global spot volume to prevent signaling or front-running. Execution windows are randomized, monitored, and recorded. In short, we buy like a sovereign fund, not a DJ. Next is custody. This is the real crown jewel. Because unlike fiat reserves, which rely on counterparties and banking fragility, Bitcoin can be self-custodied, and that's exactly what we do. Cold storage only. No hot wallets, no exchanges. Geographically distributed storage sites, both coasts, inland bunker included. Multi-signature protocols, 3 of 5 or 4 of 7 setups with independent key holders, some government, some contracted, all air-gapped. HSM-backed key shards split and stored with hard and access controls and physical redundancy. Key ceremonies audited by third parties, logged, video recorded, and stored like nuclear launch protocol footage. Proof of reserve? You bet. We publish Bitcoin addresses. We publish Merkle Tree cryptographic attestations quarterly. GAO has full audit rights. Every Satoshi is accounted for on-chain. You can verify it from a cheap Android phone anywhere in the world. And let's be clear, there is no leverage, there is no staking, no rehypothecation, zero funny business. This isn't FTX, this is a more auditable Fort Knox on-chain. And the best part, Bitcoin doesn't require trust, just math. That's how the United States builds reserves in the 21st century. Not with paper promises, but with cryptographic reality. By now, someone in the room is whispering, but what if we get hacked? What if they buy tainted coins? What if Gary Gensler gets locked in a cold storage vault? Relax, this isn't some Web3 rug pull. This is state-level financial architecture, and we've engineered it to withstand every plausible failure mode. Number 1, market risk is controlled by design. We don't FOMO, we dollar cost average. We buy programmatically, not based on price predictions. We use volatility filters. If the market is in chaos, we pause. Execution windows are randomized to prevent front running. We publish tracking error versus TWAP to verify execution quality. This isn't about trading, this is about reserve accumulation with time as the edge. Number 2, the legal and compliance risk is fully covered. Every counterparty is OFAC compliant and runs AML/KYC procedures. All Bitcoin UTXOs are screened through Chainalysis style taint filters. No exposure to sanctioned wallets, mixers, or suspicious flows. Every custodian signs a no rehypothecation covenant. If they lend it, they lose the contract. All contractors are SOC 2 Type 2 certified and undergo regular audits. The Bitcoin we buy is clean, compliant, and sovereign. Number 3, the operational risk is locked down, cold storage only. 4 of 7 multi-sig enforced with air-gapped key shards. Dual control key ceremonies, quarterly red team drills to simulate breach scenarios. Escrowed emergency recovery plans and sealed vaults. There's a real-time incident response playbook. And if something ever does go wrong, public disclosure is mandatory within 72 hours. No secrets, no lies, no cover-ups. This is full transparency. Forks and airdrops are held but not touched for 24 months. After that, if liquidity exists, they are sold and proceeds go to the general fund, not the reserve. No speculative trading, no engagement with unvetted chains. We don't chase free money, we collect it when it's safe. This is how you build the most secure, transparent, sovereign monetary reserve in history, not with buzzwords, not with hope, but with systems, audits, and immutable math. And when the world sees the United States pulling this off, cleanly, securely, and publicly, it won't just enhance our fiscal posture, it will cement our status as the global leader in Bitcoin credibility. Let China try to ban it, let Europe regulate it into irrelevance. We're going to own it, secure it, and lead the world from cold storage. Let's be brutally honest for a second. This isn't just about good policy. This isn't just about Bitcoin. This is about America owning the 21st century. Monetarily, geopolitically, technologically. This proposal isn't a hedge, it's a position, one that amplifies our strength and compounds it across every dimension of state power. Here's what we get: strategic signaling power. When the US begins sweeping surplus tariff revenue into Bitcoin reserves with transparency, policy discipline, and security, we send a single unavoidable message to the entire world. We are not afraid of Bitcoin. We understand it, and we are here to dominate the next monetary base layer. Other nations will follow, not out of ideology, but of survival. There isn't another option. We can act now or let the other sovereigns figure it out first. There is no time for irrational idealism when the game theoretical implications are this consequential. This is reserve strength with convex upside. Treasury bills and FX reserves are linear. Bitcoin is convex, asymmetric exposure to future monetary redenomination. When the dollar is strong, we buy more BTC. When the dollar weakens, our BTC reserve becomes more valuable. It's a self-correcting macro hedge embedded in the fiscal structure of America. Bitcoin has historically compounded at 10x Treasury yields over multi-year periods. By slowly reallocating excess dollars into this superior reserve instrument, we improve our real fiscal positioning, not just nominal balance sheets. We're not abandoning traditional reserves, we're diversifying into the digital scarcity asset that's already been adopted by public companies, sovereign wealth funds, and entire nations. We're going to provide measurable, transparent KPIs. This isn't just hype, this is trackable. BTC accumulated, cost basis versus market value, execution slippage, custody incident rate, public trust metrics, net fiscal impact over time. All of these are auditable. Let's be clear, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, this is a get resilient forever policy. We're taking voluntary surplus, using it to acquire digital gold, and we're doing it in a way that strengthens the country without adding a cent of debt. You want generational policy? Here it is. Tariff surplus in, sovereign satoshis out. Forever. All right, we've covered the vision, the mechanics, the risks, and the upside, but none of it matters if we can't pull the trigger. Well, spoiler alert, we can. This isn't a 5-year blue sky roadmap. This is ready to deploy legislation with a clear, simple timeline that honors every fiscal constraint while flipping the script on reserve policy forever. Let me walk you through it. Day 1 through 15 is the readiness phase. The Treasury finalizes the internal rulebook. It pre-approves liquidity providers, brokers, and custodians. We publish draft execution standards and disclosure framework. We secure multi-sig custody framework tested and audited. Day 16 through 45, 2 clean paths here. Number 1, an appropriations clause attached to budget resolution or reconciliation. Of customs duty receipts collected each month, amount in excess of the annual baseline are appropriated to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the acquisition and secure custody of Bitcoin up to the monthly cap set by the Secretary, provided that total outlays under this section shall not exceed dedicated receipts under this section for any month. Treasury shall publish cryptographic attestations of holdings and addresses subject to GAO review. Number 2 is an exchange stabilization fund amendment. Bitcoin shall be treated as a permissible foreign exchange asset for the purposes of the exchange stabilization fund. Whichever path you choose, the effect is identical. Tariff surplus converted into sound monetary reserves. Day 46 and after is the activation. The first monthly sweep triggers. Bitcoin acquisition begins under the execution policy. Custody established, public addresses published. Quarterly cryptographic attestation begins. Here is my sample statutory language for you. Of customs duties collected each month, amounts in excess of the fiscal year 2024 average monthly receipts, in parentheses, $6.4 billion, they are hereby appropriated to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the purchase and secure custody of Bitcoin, not to exceed $15 billion in any month. All such purchases shall be conducted via U.S. regulated brokers, and Bitcoin holdings shall be published quarterly, including on-chain addresses and Merkle tree cryptographic proofs. The Secretary shall pause acquisitions during any month in which the unified federal deficit exceeds 2% of GDP on an annualized basis. This clause hits every mark: budget neutral, transparent, compliant, time-boxed, and immediately executable. Let me leave you with this. Every great monetary epoch began with a reserve innovation. Gold did not become a reserve because it was shiny. It became a reserve because it was scarce, verifiable, and self-sovereign. Bitcoin is the next logical step, and with the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve fueled by tariff surplus, this is how the United States leads that step. Not with words, not with regulations, but with Satoshis on-chain, signed by the Treasury and held in cold storage. Let's build it, let's fund it, let's front-run the rest of the world before it front-runs us. Thank you. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. The time to act is now. Class dismissed.